Hello, everyone. How are you, Natalie?
Had to unmute.
All
Good
right.
morning.
Smitty, my man. That's the one that keeps me going. Smitty, unmute, man.
I'm unmuted. I'm unmuted. How you doing, sir?
I don't know why I got to work with you so much. I know your people.
You know my people, and I know
Yeah,
your
you know I
people.
know your people. How are you all doing?
I'm doing well.
Doing well.
Okay. Natalie,
Yeah.
how you coming along? You've been in my prayers.
Thank you. And as you know, I'm the new kid on the block here, and so we'll be sharing with folks. I know the sacrifices that folks are making during COVID-19 due to my own personal story, but as you know, deadlines to file bills, so reviewing bills and getting signed on, and continuing to talk with folks in District 20 and across the state about COVID-19 and what we're working on in the General Assembly.
All right. All
Yeah.
right. I don't know who else is on here. I see some folk. Representative Garland Pierce, Representative Yvonne Holly. Lieutenant, how you doing? Unmute, Lieutenant.
I'm good. I'm delighted to be here today.
Well, it's
Good
good to
morning,
see.
Soror.
Yeah. Yeah. Representative Pierce, it's always a pleasure to see.
Good
see
morning.
you.
Good morning.
And my dearest Representative Waddell, or Senator Waddell, and Representative Candy Smith. All right. Senator, how you doing? Senator Waddell, unmute. Unmute Senator Waddell and unmute.
Am I unmuted now?
You're unmuted now.
Okay, trying to stay at home and
Well,
following the
I
three
think we all
W's,
are.
washing hands,
I
waiting.
think we
Okay.
all are. We're just trying to do the best we can with all of this that's going on. I'm learning how to work Zoom and a whole lot of other things a lot better. Representative Candy Smith,
Yes, Senator Lowe.
how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope
Well,
you are.
good. Well, it's good to see all of you. You know, I miss seeing y'all. I miss not being able to walk over to the other side and look in on my friends.
I hear you.
So it's good to see you. I gotta come to Goldsboro, Smith. I'm coming down there to get some barbecue.
But we absolutely have some for you now.
Yeah, okay. So
You better
so
stay
you
out of
find
Wayne
out where to
County,
go.
Paul.
Huh?
You better stay out of Wayne County, Paul. Don't go down there.
Boy,
Do it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Representative Pierce. Your hair is looking like mine. You starting to get a fro.
Watch it, boy.
I've been to the barbershop in 3 weeks. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I can't go. And I guess I might have to do like my granddaddy, get some of that heavy grease, Sister Holly, and put a stocking cap on.
No comment here.
Is that Representative Marvin Lucas? I thought I saw his face. Representative Lucas, unmute. Unmute your, no, that's Representative Quick. I don't know if that's Lucas or Quick. I can't see a name, but you could unmute your phone. I don't know when they're going to pull us on in a few minutes. They got us.
I think
We're already on.
Are we on now?
Yes,
we've been on all along.
all along.
Oh my goodness. Well, if we've been on, I guess we need to get started. I'm looking for, I want to thank all of you for coming on board and being a part of this panel. I am going to give an opportunity to recognize everybody that's on this call. I didn't know we were on yet. I'm going to blame this on Brother Marcus Bass for not letting me know that we had actually started. You know, and I certainly want to give a shout out to all of the alphas. And I'm sure that all of you will give a shout out to your organizations as well. I think that one of the marvelous things about being a part of the Divine Nine, all of us are individuals that had a marvelous privilege, and that was to get an education. And because we had that privilege, now we have the responsibility of serving others. And we want to continue to do that. And I'm so happy to be with all of you as we begin to share some of the things that are happening in our state. I want to give an opportunity to recognize everybody that's here. So I want everybody to introduce themselves, and I'm trying to see what the best way to do this is, because I'm not seeing everyone. So I'm going to start with my list, and it's not necessarily in alphabetical order, but I will call as I see those that are on. The first individual I go to, and I'm gonna just go as it's shared on my screen. You can introduce yourself, the organization you represent, and your Greek letter affiliation. So I'm gonna start with Senator Natalie Murdock, excuse me.
All right, thank you so much, Senator Lowe. Good morning, everyone. My name is Natalie Murdock, and I am the newly elected senator for Senate District 20. That seat was previously held by the great Senator Michaud. Before that, Senator Floyd McKissick served that district for 12 years. And before that, Senator Jeannie Lucas, who was also a Delta. I'm a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And it was very fitting that District 20 elected a Black woman, to my knowledge, the youngest Black woman to serve in the General Assembly currently. Senator Jeannie Lucas was the first Black woman to serve in the Senate and represented the same district. So originally from Greensboro, North Carolina, but have been in Durham coming on 10 years. And before that, served as a soil and water supervisor, so very passionate about agricultural issues as well as working with our farmers. So glad to see, well, both Smiths, but Representative Raymond Smith on, had the pleasure of working with him on some agriculture work when he came in as a freshman as well. And also a proud member of the Durham Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where I'm proud to serve as co-chair of our Social Action Committee. And it was honestly social action that led me to Delta. So a little bit about what I'm excited about working on this coming session. As we all know, COVID-19 has really just brought everyone to their knees. It is an unprecedented crisis. And so we're working really hard. As folks hopefully know, and I'm sure other legislators will get into the details, we did pass a $1.5 billion package to address COVID relief. I did have the opportunity to serve as a primary sponsor to that bill. It was signed into law by Governor Cooper, but we'll be upfront about we didn't get everything that we wanted on the Senate caucus side. And with the Democrats, we did want to provide more relief for unemployment insurance, as well as to see what we can do to provide more medical insurance for individuals that are losing their coverage, because a lot of individuals have lost their jobs. And glad that earlier on, Jeremy Collins out of the governor's office talked about we'll continue to work with all of you that may be dealing with unemployment issues. We are all frustrated about our inability to get everyone what they need. I think we've exceeded 1 million claims and maybe filled a little over 500,000 of those. So all of the constituent emails that we receive, we review very carefully and want to continue to work on those. I had the pleasure through the Senate really quickly to work on the elections work group as well as the municipal work group. And so we want to protect our elections to get people the protective equipment that they need and the financial relief they need through unemployment assistance. So look forward to the conversation.
Thank you. Short introduction, Representative Raymond Smith. Can Representative Raymond Smith be unmuted? All right.
I understand you to emphasize the word short. Good morning, everyone. I am Representative Raymond Smith. I hail from House District 21, which encompasses Wayne and Sampson counties. I come to you representing Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, member of the Goldsboro Phi Alpha Alpha chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and proud graduate of North Carolina A&T State University. I humbly come before you today to hopefully provide some information that will be of benefit to each and every one of us across the state of North Carolina. One of the many things that we all have to take in consideration is that this dreaded virus has no particular care whether you are young or old, whether you are Greek or not Greek, whether you're black or white, it doesn't care. It is absolutely imperative that each and every one of us follow proper PPE, regardless of our health condition, regardless of our status in life. And we'll talk more about this as we go further. That's my short presentation, Senator Lowe.
Okay. Representative Garland Pierce.
Good morning. This is State Representative Garland Pierce, House District 48, Scotland County and Hope County. Member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity, Epsilon Rho Lambda chapter out of Cumberland County. Just delighted to be on the call this morning. Also, as Brother Paul knows, I'm a few months short of 40 years of pastoring, so I understand a lot that we're dealing with my members and people in my district. So we look forward to our continued work, doing what we can to make a difference. And the rural areas are really seeing the impact of this virus. I don't know if people are just not heeding the warnings and things they need to do, but I hope we can continue to have this conversation to encourage people to practice the social distancing, hand washing, and mask wearing is very important. So I'm just proud to be on the call this morning. I look forward to the conversation. Thank you, Senator Lowe.
Representative Holly.
Good morning. It's a delight to be here. I'm State Representative Yvonne Lewis Holly, representing District 38, which is part of Wake County. I am also running for Lieutenant Governor of the state of North Carolina and a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm not going to repeat what some of my colleagues have said. I will just say that right now I am currently working on our housing problem. We're going to have a real problem when this thing lets up, and people who have not been able to pay their rent and their mortgages are going to be in the fix because they haven't been able to work. So I'm working on some bills now and diligently working and trying to work across the aisle to see what we could do to solve some of those problems and get some legislation and some funding in place to help and assist in that area. And I'm delighted to be here today.
Thank you. Senator Joyce Waddell, where did you go? From the great country of Mecklenburg. Unmute. Senator Waddell, unmute. There you go.
This is Senator Waddell. I'm a proud member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, the Rho Psi Omega chapter, and you said be brief, so I will. I am a 30-year educator, and I've served in every phase of education, from preschool to college professor. Retired and have worked tirelessly since I've been in the legislature for an increase in COLAs. And we thought we had it this time. But now that we are involved with this pandemic, things look a little bit bleak for us, but we're going to keep the faith and hope that we will still get that increase in cost of living adjustments for our retirees that we so desperately need. I want to talk a little bit about the education pieces as we move forward. We've seen things that we've never seen before, with schools being closed, and many of the students in our low-income neighborhoods still have difficulty with their Chromebooks, with computers, and with parents who sometimes have to teach them, knowledge base is not there. We are working hard with the General Assembly, and I do serve on the Education Task Force. And we've done a lot, made a lot of recommendations. Hopefully, things will get better, but we do pray for our students, and we know that we're all in this together, and we all must move forward to help this students so that students can learn and grow and be successful in education pursuits.
Thank you, Senator Waddell. Representative Marvin Lucas. Unmute your phone or your device, rather. Unmute Representative Lucas. There you
Can you
go.
hear me now? Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Morning.
So happy to join this wonderful experience. I'm Marvin Lucas, and I represent House District number 42 in Cumberland County. I think I'm probably, other than Senator Blue, one of the longest serving legislators who are currently serving. This is my 20th year in the legislature. I am a retired educator with 33 years of experience, and I have a collective total of 43 years in elective experience. A graduate of Fayetteville State University, the Broncos. I'm also a graduate of North Carolina Central, the Great Eagles, and a graduate of East Carolina, a Pirate. I've worked in education, as you just indicated, all these years. I've served as chair of education policy in the great state of North Carolina, and I look forward to getting the majority again so that we can continue the positive things that we did when we were in power. I am on the Education Task Force. We look forward to doing many more things that will be helpful for the minority students, especially those who are challenged with technology in the remote areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lucas. This time, Representative Candy Smith.
Good morning. I'm Representative Candy Smith, representing District 8, which is Pitt County. I am a freshman, but I'm a fighter. And what I'm currently working on is making sure we as African Americans can get tested. I am reading and hearing too many stories about trying to get tested, but being turned away from being tested. And then we have this narrative that it's based on our pre-existing conditions. And I want to make sure that I do everything that I can to help us with that fight, because I woke up this morning and I read more information, had information sent to me about a nurse, African-American nurse, who asked to be tested 4 times and was refused, and then she died. And also 23 years old, and he was, who went to the hospital twice. They sent him home, and then he died. And so I'm working diligently on that right now, because if we can't live, we can't continue to fight. We can't continue to help do anything else if we cannot live. And so I think that my position should be strongly focused on making sure that all of us get that testing and not be turned away, because we know that we're dealing with some very, very strong issues of not being seen as our counterparts. And that should not be okay. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you all for allowing me to be here, and back to you, Senator Lowe.
Thank you. Senator Erica Smith.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, I forgot to say, I am a part of one of the most honorable sororities, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Ooh, okay, I'm sorry.
All right. And we got another Delta coming on, Senator Erica Smith.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I am North Carolina State Senator Erica Smith. I represent Senate District 3, Bertie, Beaufort, Martin, Northampton, Vance, and Warren counties in northeastern North Carolina. This is my third term in the North Carolina Senate, and I want to thank my cousin Candy Smith for bringing me in with the largest sisterhood on the planet with over 200,000 members. I am a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. I'm excited to be a part of the education team, and as we are reimagining life after COVID-19, I see some wonderful opportunities. I don't know about you, but I've seen how much work we've been able to do at home. I can imagine all of these industrial complexes. We can look at affordable housing, transitioning. We can also look at opportunities to make sure we can connect everyone across this state, particularly in the rural areas. Those of us who are out east and out west in the most rural, remote places, we have to drive to a neighbor's house in the closest city to make sure we can access Zoom. So I know that this pandemic has definitely demonstrated our need and our focus to make sure someone is standing up and representing and riding hard for us. On a final note, I do want to share the disparate impact of COVID-19 on communities of color. And we know that we are the last place in everything good and first place in everything bad. And this pandemic is no different. And we need to make sure while we are legislating, we are looking at the opportunities to build a better, a more just, a more equitable society and opportunities for all of us. Happy to be on the panel.
Thank you, Senator. We're going to get ready to, I've been given some questions to share. I do want to share with all of our colleagues.
Senator Lowe, you got one more, Representative Robert Reeves, I believe. He needs to introduce himself.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. I see you now. Can you unmute Representative Robert Reeves? We have an inside joke, and the last person I want to forget is him because I know I'll pay for it. Representative Reeves? I'll be by the house tonight.
Thank you, Senator Lowe. And I appreciate being recognized, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Robert Reeves, representing District 54, Chatham and Durham County, and very happy to be here. Very happy that we're still having this panel. I won't repeat what you guys have already heard, but I will just say that we are in serious and desperate times, and we need each other more than ever. And there's a lot that we've all got to do, not just people on this panel, but the people listening, the people through our communities, to make sure that we get through these times best we can. So thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, I thank Nicole Dozier and William Mann for helping us stay on task. If I missed anybody else that might have come on, I didn't see. If not, before we go any further, I need to do a shout out to the brothers of Alpha Pi Lambda. I don't want to miss you all because if I do, I'll never hear the end of it. We are in some very difficult times, and it's been hitting all of us. I think that COVID-19 has certainly highlighted the disparities in our communities. All of us are doing different things, even right now, to work within our communities to do what's best for our communities. And while we're doing that, I've been given several questions to ask all of you. Some of you I'm going to direct certain questions to because I know you have been working on things that apply to these questions. The first question is, what are the plans for North Carolina to partner with each counties and cities to bridge the technological gaps that exist and were brought to light during the COVID-19 pandemic? Now, this particular question, because it's really broad. To break it down, they're asking about technology, and particularly technology in underserved communities, and particularly in rural areas. I know Senator Erica Smith had been working on things in those areas, so I'm going to address this question to you, Senator Smith, if that's all right. Senator Smith, did you hear me? Can you unmute? Did you hear the question? Senator Smith, did you hear the question? Unmute Senator Smith. I don't have, you all, the question, Senator Smith, is what kinds of things are being done or are we working on for the divide as it relates to rural communities?
Absolutely, thank you. I'll start off on that and pitch hit on an answer. Thank you. Someone put in the chat. I saw it briefly. I didn't see you, but you needed more than access to the internet. And so I have drafted a bill that provides an appropriation to our agency works, job workforce sites, as well as community colleges to provide for community education. Now, my mother is octogenarian, and I am just so excited that my twin sister encouraged my mother, who has never been on Facebook, never sent an email. She actually did a TikTok video recently, and so we're excited about that. But there are a lot of people in our community who have just never had access or exposure to social media, using the internet for e-commerce, using the internet online education. And so we need a fair bit of training opportunity in the community for average everyday people who are not used to doing so much on the internet. So that was one provision that was not covered in our recovery bill. In our recovery bill, we added more money to the GREAT grant, and that's program. Also, the governor requested, and that was put into the conference report, 180 Wi-Fi sites to travel across the state through the school systems. 180 of them. We have some great local businesses who provide internet support and have received grants on the federal level through CAF funding. And that CAF funding, Connect America funding, the CAF funding is what telecommunication companies are able to apply for a grant to be able to service parts of North Carolina. So I am very, very optimistic about our ability to now cover what we know are internet deserts. And let's just face it, this pandemic has shown us that without access to the internet, you not be able to order your food, or be able to order dinner, or be able to telecommute. Can you imagine what it is to telecommute? And how can you telecommute if you're homeless? So one of the things that we're looking at are increasing the access. How home affordability is one of them, but also connecting every home to the internet.
Thank you.
I'll ask someone else to add to that.
Some of you, there was also a caveat in the question about what, and I don't know all of the details, some of you may know, of some kind of partnership that took place in Wilson County to get more internet service to more folks. Maybe some of you all in those areas might be able to say something about what is happening there and what kinds of push need to take place to be able to bring that to other areas.
Absolutely. That was Greenlight, which was a municipal broadband company. Unfortunately, in the 2016-2017 biennium, there was a bill that passed that prohibited municipalities or companies from partnering with municipalities to provide broadband access because of FCC rules, Federal Communications policies. And so we definitely need to revisit that provision, because let's just face it, those of us who live in remote areas, I'm just going to put it out there because I believe in transparency. the CenturyLinks are Sprint, AT&T. Some of them are not going that extra mile to connect every North Carolinian. When you have sparse population in Eastern North Carolina, we know that the population is declining. There isn't a high rate. You have persistently high poverty counties where the constituents there, it is hard for them to add on internet. And so, number one, we're going to have to start treating internet like it's a utility, particularly for underserved areas. But we definitely need to revisit that to provide public and private partnerships to make sure that we have that last mile, fiber optic, high-speed internet. Internet is, less than one on the when you're doing uploads, to the point where it is hard for me to watch a Netflix video without it filtering, spinning. I can't upload documents to education programs. We know that there is a huge deficit. We need to go back and visit. Greenlight did well, served a farm in Nash County, and that farm was able to expand their business opportunities and be able to provide more in terms of exporting. So thank you, whoever brought that up. We are going to work toward more municipal broadband.
Thank you.
Private-public partnerships.
Also, and this is a general question for any of you to jump in on, with the non-access to online services, what is happening with education? And this is kind of directed to many of you that live near rural areas or down east, where some of these things are really a major problem.
Senator Lowe, if I can.
Senator Smith.
Thank you, Senator Lowe. That's a very good question. And I was speaking with one of my colleagues this morning with regard to this very issue. And in the eastern part of North Carolina, as you well know, and as in many parts of the state of North Carolina, broadband access is still absolutely a major barrier in education, especially during this pandemic. One of the things that I am advocating for here locally, and you'll hear more about it, and I'd like to share this with the other members of the panel, is we will know what we do in the General Assembly is we have a statewide focus, but we need to have a local focus, which I call a locus. And locally, what I'm proposing is that we establish a what I call a education contingency coalition. And this education contingency coalition will be comprised of the school superintendent, all stakeholders, superintendent, the community college, the libraries, all the business community. What I'm trying to make sure that we are prepared for to reopen school in the fall. Those plans may or may not come to fruition, but we do need to have a local contingency plan in the event that schools do not return to normal. That contingency plan should absolutely consist of, as Senator Smith said earlier, it has to have broadband access at the foundation of every plan that we have. So it is absolutely imperative that we begin planning at the local level for this contingency in the event COVID-19 does not go away as everyone hopes and prays it does. And we very well may start the school with virtual school again. And if that's the case, what is the plan going forward? And we cannot expect the state to come up with a plan that will fit every community. So what we're going to do here in my district, we're going to begin working on a local focus that will indeed put us ahead of the game. Now, if everything returns to normal in the fall, so be it. We'll put that plan on the shelf and be prepared for whenever or if ever we need it again. But to fail to plan is to plan to fail. So that is one of the things that we're going to look at. Also, in addition to the initial question, we definitely have to have broadband access. One of the proposals that I plan to put forth in the General Assembly in this short session is that we have an agreement with our local libraries. Families should be able to go into the library and rent a hotspot just like you can a book. For whatever reasons you may or may not have access, why can't you go to the public library and rent a hotspot so that your child could complete his or her work, or for the family to be able to do whatever they make, whatever transactions they need to make? Because as we know, paying bills and things of that nature, a lot of that is done online now. So, you know, it's not just education alone, it's doing business is online. So these are some of the proposals that we're looking at here in the eastern part of the state. And those are some things that I plan to put forward, along with some other things we'll talk about later. But certainly I would encourage each of us as legislators to look into our communities, find what we're doing locally to prepare for the inevitability of there possibly not being a return to normal for education in the fall.
Senator Lowe.
Yes.
Marvin
Representative
Lucas.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, we have to be anticipatory, and as we do that, we need to take stock of what's going on in the western part of the country right now, out in Los Angeles and in the Western California period. They've already decided that school will not be normal school in the fall, that the pandemic experience is going to continue. And I suspect it may continue in North Carolina. So we have to be anticipatory. And in that sense, in the education work group, I'm going to submit plans or recommend plans that we continue the school bus spots. I like what Representative Smith had said about the libraries, but sometimes real rural areas may not have a library close by. So
good idea.
With the hotspots available in those remote areas is going to be the panacea that's going to cure all of that. And I'm going to challenge all of my Phi Beta Sigma brothers to help us initiate that.
I think that sounds like an excellent idea. One of the things that I do want to bring up, and maybe some of you might chime in on this, in certain counties, I'm finding out where there is technology. I'm finding out that a lot of the students that have devices in some of the large counties, the students are not signing on and are not using them at all. And that is a major problem that we've got to figure out what we can do to make sure that children and their parents have them sign on and do the work. Because that's what's happening in some of our large school districts. Children are not signing on. It happened here in Forsyth County. So we've got a real big problem with that, and we've got to find a way. I don't know how we can make kids do their homework or make their parents make sure they do their homework as it was when I was growing up. But something has to be looked at along those lines. Some of you might be able to chime in with some thoughts on that.
And also, this is Senator Murdoch. Really quickly wanted to highlight the other reason that we really have to expand broadband access is telehealth. Representative Smith brought up earlier that a lot of individuals are at home and sick, and we're following all the guidance that says call a physician. Your physician will most likely tell you to not come into a ER, to not come into a hospital. So if you do not have telehealth access at this moment, you may not even be getting medical treatment. We want to expand that. We have to really get serious about making sure everyone has access to high quality internet.
Thank you.
Senator
Anyone
Lowe.
else?
Senator
Yes.
Lowe. Representative Pierce. I represent 2 rural areas, Hope County, Scotland County, and have a real interest in Robeson County. And in talking to educators, a lot of the parents, some of them are not savvy. I think that's a good word to use as it relates to technology. And the parents are frustrated, the children are frustrated, but I saw something come up. I think we just got to do more. It's a lot on our teachers. This is something new for them, but I think many of them are doing great work in trying to get to it on. Many of them wake up in the morning, go online, open the portal for the children to get on it. They may sit there 3 or 4 hours before anybody shows up. So I think we just have to do more educating our parents also to the importance of getting online, those who have the capabilities to doing that. I think parent involvement is going to be very important going forward. Thank you, Senator Lowe.
I think so. Thank you.
And if I could chime in on that also.
Yes, sir, Representative Reeves.
And first and foremost, I want to apologize to a couple of folks, to my proud brothers of Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm in one of those areas that doesn't have good internet, and it was all I could do to get out my name. So apologies, definitely. We'll make sure we know that our greatest fraternity is still represented. So thank you. But beyond
Where's
that,
your cane? Where is your cane? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's right beside my other thing that I always keep with me. But I do want to say on this internet issue, and thank you, Senator Murdoch, for bringing that up. There's so many places that we're out of step technologically, and one of the people in the chat said it best that we got 2 problems. We got the technology issue, and then we got the technological literacy issue. Because just because you get internet to these places doesn't mean that people understand how to use it. We've got to work on that. But I want to make sure we understand what Senator Erica Smith and Senator Lowe were talking about with the issue on Wilson. The only reason we don't have full connect Carolina is because a couple of companies got upset about Wilson taking the initiative where the free market wasn't coming in place and locked us down. And that harms us more than any other group in this state, because you have African Americans, not just in these rural areas, but also in urban areas that aren't able to get access. Because again, just because they run cable or fiber through your area doesn't mean that you've got true access to that fiber or cable. And we've got to work on that as a people, making sure that people have the opportunity to get connected on the internet. And in Chatham County alone, the problem that you got is if you live on the western side of the county, which is where I live, you don't have any real internet access. But if you live on the eastern side of the county, where you're in Apex or Cary, you're at a complete advantage. And so people who live on the eastern side of the county are still able to do their school and their health and all that, just like nothing is going on. And these kids on the western side of the county are falling exponentially behind. But that's the problem we've got to work on, and it's simply a money problem. Most of the counties in this state want the opportunity to be able to treat broadband as a utility, and our General Assembly is stopping them, and in particular, just the leadership that we presently have. And we've got to be conscious of that. Because if that bill were to go up in front of the Senate right now, or to go in front of the House to allow that to happen, it passes. But the leadership that we have right now in that House and Senate won't let that happen. And it's our kids that are getting hurt by this. And it's our members of our community that are getting killed by not being able to stay healthy. Thank you.
Let me say one thing. This is a commercial. This is the reason why we need everybody to vote up and down the ticket. Elections have consequences, and if we're going to see some of these disparities change, it will not change until we change what's happening in the General Assembly. That's a fact. We've got to make sure that we get everybody voting. And I've been asked to say something about this, but I had planned to say something anyway. We've got to get everybody voting, because with internet access not being available all over our state, it hurts us the most. Might as well tell the truth. It hurts Black folk the most. I don't know if I can say that on this, but I said it. You know, we're the ones that are going to be hurting if we don't get these things done. So I certainly appreciate all of you that are doing everything you can. In some kind of way, we're going to get it done, because I think it's important that there be these municipality, private industry partnerships, if that's what it takes to get it done. Because I'm thinking about all of the children that will not be in school. And if they're not in school, they're not learning worse things will happen down the road. The next question we want to go to is HBCUs. Will HBCUs have equitable monies to stay afloat during and after the pandemic? I think we know the answer, but I don't know which one of you want to take a stab at that. Amos, you want to take a stab at that first?
First of all, thank you, Senator Lowe, and all the panelists and all who are listening. I've been on for a while. I had a few video problems at the beginning, but was able to hear the conversation. I agree with just about everything that's been said, particularly Senator Erica Smith talking about the internet being a utility. And absolutely, I think the day has passed that internet be considered like electricity is absolutely mandatory in our homes. As it relates to HBCUs, this is, again, another opportunity, really taking a 30,000-foot view of this pandemic. This is an opportunity for us to remake our entire society and to remake the way we do things. Certainly, we have opportunity to remake the funding of our colleges and universities in this state and to make sure that there is equitable funding. There are some bills that are being written even right now. One that will bring back the Teaching Fellow Program and include HBCUs in that and training our teachers. There's another bill here for North Carolina A&T State University that we're working on to make sure that the agricultural program at North Carolina A&T State University is elevated to a place where it is on par comparatively to NC State, and the funding is equitable and is on par and proportionate between A&T and NC State. And I think this state needs to recognize that we have to continue, as we have on Legislative Black Caucus, continue to push the fact that our many HBCUs in this state, both public and private, are wonderful opportunities for us to advance North Carolina. And we have to keep pushing the narrative that that needs to be the case, particularly the pandemic. We have an opportunity. This pandemic has presented an opportunity for us to remake our society. And if we miss that, then I don't know that this opportunity will come again, particularly in the way that it presents itself now. Yes, this pandemic is absolutely terrible, and we have medical and economic things that we have to look out for, and the previous panelists have spoken to that. But the silver lining, if such does exist in this pandemic, is that it is an opportunity to remake our entire society, top to bottom. And we have to be diligent in doing that. And HBCUs should be pushed as being on the vanguard of remaking our society and the way we do things in this state and this nation.
Senator Lowe. Senator Lowe.
Can you hear? Okay.
Senator Lowe.
Yes, sir.
Representative Pierce, thank you, Brother Quick. I think this is a great time for alumni of all these universities to step up in a way that we've never stepped up before. I was proud of, I'm a graduate of Fayetteville State and Shaw Divinity School, but there was a gift given to the freshman class at Fayetteville State. Someone purchased computers, iPads, computers for every freshman coming in. So it's time for the alumni. We've got to do our part also to help our universities more than we did in the past. And I think it's a great time, particularly those in to really speak up on the issues that affect our HBCUs. Thank you, Senator.
You're welcome.
So this is quick one more time. I just add one thing, please. Yeah, Robert Reeves is my seatmate. So like him, you know, some of his stuff rubbed for me. I forgot to announce that I am a very proud member of the one that started it all, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and very proud to be a part of this illustrious organization. And I have to change my seat because if I begin to forget the most important thing, my seatmate is having a bad effect on me. So
I don't know what's rubbing off on you, Brother Quick, but we're gonna have to have a discussion soon.
All right. All the way.
I will say this, I think more than ever, we know that we're going to have to do everything we can to push to see that all of our HBCUs in this state are supported in a positive fashion and in an equitable fashion. And that's going to be hard work. Also, we're going to have to do our part as graduates of those institutions to support our own institutions. And a lot of times we don't always do what we need to do to support our institutions by sending them a check. I mean, that we just have to do, we have to do more of that with all of our schools, because that's the only way they're going to make it. And so I just wanted to put that in. The next question.
Senator, before we go to that, can we make one more note?
Yes, sir.
To specifically address the question, if you want to see how our HBCUs are going to be treated, look at what happened in the COVID bill that we passed this past week. Here's the bottom line. 2 schools should have gotten money by the criteria that we discussed about COVID legislation, trying to get people helped. 2 schools should have got money, Duke and UNC, because they are actually involved in a vaccine discussion and vaccine research. 5 schools got money. What was that?
Some kind of way Campbell got some money, didn't they? I don't
exactly.
know.
Everybody on this call that worries about HBCUs ought to make note of the fact that Campbell got money. And I'm not knocking Campbell. Campbell had advocates, they got their money. I'm not knocking the school.
Elections have consequences.
Exactly. So please, folks, make sure that you understand, if we don't advocate for these schools, everybody's going to get money but us. It's just that simple. But the fact that we managed in the legislation that should have been easy, bipartisan, just strictly fixed on making sure that we were helping folks out, and they snuck money in there for the schools that they wanted to sneak in there, because Campbell wasn't the only one that got snuck in there, and I'm not going to get into the political implications of a couple of others, but be real clear, that's a problem. And that's going to happen this second time around. Money's going to keep going out. That's your tax money going out to help everybody but you. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Reeves. Is anyone else have anything else they want to share on that?
Absolutely. Lucas would like to share something.
Representative Lucas.
Thank you. Thank you again. It's absolutely imperative that we push the total society groups, not just those who expend the funds. We know what they're going to do in Raleigh. They've been doing this for years. And until we insist that they do that, years ago, when the Democrats were in the majority, and I have to say it that way, Representative Nikki Michelle, Dan Blue, and several of us pushed for what we called focused growth funding. And this was specifically designed for the minority schools, to bring them on par. They've never been on par with the charter schools. And the effort was to really lower that barrier. And it worked well for a number of years. But you haven't heard anything about focused growth funding since 2010, whenever the current group took charge. The other issue that I would bring out is that it's time for us as minorities to insist that the greater society make contributions to our cause. We spend money at the malls, but they give all these resources to what they call the large schools, the Rams Club, the Wolfpack clubs. They don't give anything to an Aggie club or an Eagle club or a Bronco club. Let's make sure that we spend money there, and sometimes proportionally we spend more money than they do. They have to equal this playing field.
Thank you. And they have to equal the playing field, and we have to do everything we can to give to our own institutions. I think that's something that we have to continue to stress.
Hello.
Yes.
Senator Waddell here.
Senator Waddell.
Yes. Just want to make some comments in that regard. We are experiencing what you call, this is a new normal now. It's very different from what we've seen before. And when we file bills, it's important that we file them in the House and in the Senate when it's related to our HBCUs. And we have to continue, even when they say no, even when they don't get these bills on the floor, continue session after session to file them. And what you're doing as our leader, Lo, you're doing excellent work in this regard, because these are the things that we do talk about in our caucus. So it's incumbent upon us to stay focused and to stay forward, to continue to push. Now we know that many of the things that we're experiencing, we're in the minority. So we got to make certain that we vote, that we elect people who are responsible and responsive to those things that promote HBCUs. And you've mentioned that earlier, and that's so important. Mentioned also, Senator Joyce Waddell from Charlotte, North Carolina, proud member of the first sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Thank you. Thank you. The next thing we want to go to, we want to move a little bit further. How are contracts being dispersed during COVID-19? And is our state engaging with historically underutilized businesses during the pandemic? Well, some of you know that I've been really kind of frustrated with some things that have been going on, and we as a legislative body, and certainly the Legislative Black Caucus, are trying to continue this fight because we do want our folks to get something out the deal as well. You know, one of the things I stated a few days ago in a meeting is the fact that there are individuals, because they are connected, they get certain contracts, while I'm gonna just come out and say it, while Black folks get nothing as it relates to contracts. That has to stop, and we have to help stop it. My grandfather had a saying. He said, "You eat T-bones, I eat bologna." We've got to change that narrative, and we've got to make sure that everybody has access to these government contracts and these procurements. And those are some of the things that we are fighting for and going to continue to fight for. Some of my other colleagues may have some things to say about during COVID-19, how underutilized businesses may not be getting what they should be getting.
Senator Lowe, this is
Representative Holly.
Yes, well, I spent 25 years in state government and purchasing. Not know how to bid to the state or how to make their things, what they have to offer, known and out there. And they need to go to the hub office to learn how to connect with the state of North Carolina. I don't know where the bidding is going on, if it's going under emergency management or with the Department of Administration, or how they're actually handling it. But I do know that you can write into these bid documents that you want, when you're talking about, say, for example, the testing, or that you want some of the people of the community involved. That way you can get people from that community to be on the forefront in their communities. You want some community-based organizations, not on the other side of town. You want some community-based organizations, because our people have a fear of a lot of things, and they have a trust factor. And it's very important that we include those trust factors in what we do in our community. So we need to get on the state about how they're writing up these requests for bids to make sure that they are being a little bit more inclusive. We can't do set-asides. There are no minority set-asides. The law of North Carolina will not allow for us to have specific set-asides. But we can talk about community-based and certain things that we can do there to try to make sure that we get people in the community. I get upset when the group across town gets $50 an hour, and then they come over here and they want to hire somebody for $10 an hour to actually serve the people that need to be served. So this is an issue we do need to address. We need some $50 an hour people in our communities as well, because they know how to roll out in our communities. They know how to reach our communities. So some of this stuff may have to be regional. There are ways that you can do this in the bid process, and I don't know who's handling it, but after we spoke, another thing I want to say to the whole group, in case you have not noticed, all of the legislators here, we are experts in different areas, and we have been fighting down there tooth and nail for our HBCUs, for our broadband, for our community. But we are few in numbers, and we don't have the majority vote. And until that happens, a lot of things will not be addressed. All we do is put in bills and try to do what we can to make changes or to minimize the hurt to our communities. So it's just so important that things like contracts, that we get in there now. We demand that we are going to be a part of this process, and that things come our way for our communities. And we're going to have to be more assertive about it. The last thing I want to say is that the other part that has not been discussed is that the instability of our families right now. When we talk about those that aren't getting online because they don't have broadband, it's more issues than that. Some of them don't know where they're going to get their next meal, or if they're going to be in their home the next day. Our families are unstable right now because they aren't working, and that they don't have the resources to get access. So if I'm worried about my next meal, remembering sometimes that I got to get on this computer at 10 o'clock to teach my child something that I don't even fully understand, causes some problems. So we need to do more reaching out and stabilizing our families with food security, because the food bank is doing a yeoman's job, but as we're hearing on the news, the food supply is going to be coming in, it's going to be limited. Our job is cut out for us, and we as a community need to stabilize our families first, so that they can take advantage of whatever opportunities we are able to get them.
Yeah, just
Thank you,
another quick note about procurement in general. Just do want to highlight Tammy Hall, that works in our hub office for the state. She does phenomenal work. As Representative Holly mentioned, I also have a lot of experience in federal level procurement as well as state level, but just did want to broaden the conversation a tad, just a small business. A number of conferences and talks like these here, Black businesses are really, really struggling. So many of them were turned down for that payroll protection program. So did want to highlight, we do have a carve out of $125 million for small businesses that will be distributed through Golden Leaf. We wanted some of those funds to go directly to the Institute so that they could have a more targeted impact on African American businesses. We didn't get that in the final version, but we do have that available. But can't stress enough, you really should reach out to Tammy Hall if you are a business owner that has been turned down. In Durham County, with a business owner who not only got turned down for payroll protection, she has not received a single check from unemployment. She is really struggling to make it. And through those talks with Tammy, she was able to get access to non-traditional lenders such as Square and PayPal, Intuit. A lot of other individuals are providing those loans. So since we do have so many individuals on this call, just wanted to highlight, you don't just have to go to Wells Fargo. You just have to go to Bank of America. You can go to your small community banks in Durham. We have mechanics and farmers. So just make sure that you try a lot of different avenues, because I'm a small business owner myself. Know how hard it is. You are really fighting for scraps off the table. So when it comes to procurement, we can do what we can at the state level, but just make sure all business owners are doing all they can and just apply till no more funds are left.
Thank you. I think that some of the Hello? Senator Smith, were you about to say something?
Yes, I was about to jump in on that one as well. Thank you, Senator Murdoch, for bringing that up. We did specify, and there were ongoing conversations about the $125 million that was allocated for small business loans. And, when Representative Holly was speaking earlier, a scripture came to my mind. The kingdom of God suffereth violence, but the violent take it by force. And Frederick Douglass, without struggle, there is no progress. And so we are definitely in a struggle fighting for allocations, But when we come together and stand united and lobby together, we do see that changes are made and that there are better responses. The last time there was a big provision for HBCUs, it was when everybody across the state came to Raleigh and advocated for opportunities for HBCUs. And so we need to focus on, as soon as we can, have mass gatherings after the COVID pandemic, when we have more relaxed restrictions or less limitations. We need to come together and advocate for HBCUs for the funding. Likewise, for our minority-owned businesses, we need to make sure that we're holding the state accountable. Now, we have had several discussions through transportation, our joint legislative transportation committees, as well as our economic development committees. There was supposed to be a commitment through the Department of Commerce and our other administrative entities to make sure that we were certifying minority-owned businesses so that they can do contract work with the state. But no one's going to hold them accountable if we don't. So we as legislators, we are going to do a better job coming together and making sure that we do get parity and equity in some of these allocations that are coming through. Earlier, Representative Reeves talked about the appropriation for Campbell University. As we know, for cybersecurity, A&T and Fayetteville State University, Fayetteville Tech, have strong programs as it relates to cybersecurity. Yet in the biennium budget that did not pass, well, the governor's veto was not overturned in the Senate, we still don't have a budget for the biennium, but in that budget, it had a $15 million appropriation for a small college in Western North Carolina, Montreat. And what we are seeing is that there are other legislators that we are working with now, and they have a strange sense of appropriating to their special interests and not appropriating to the state mandated appropriations like A&T, which is a land grant institution, and by statutory requirements and federal requirements, they have to appropriate to NC A&T like they do for NC State. So I wanted to get in on that previous question and couldn't get in, but I wanted to make sure that we came back around and talked about us working together, not just on Divine 9 days, but we need to have coordinated, I won't say protests, but coordinated efforts surrounding making sure we get appropriations for Black-owned businesses, but as well that we are fighting collectively for equity and parity and appropriations for our HBCUs.
Senator
Thank
Lowe.
you. Yes, sir. Representative Smith?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. And I'd like to echo what Senator Smith just said. It was last year after Divine 9 Legislative Day that Senator Smith and I had held a press conference with regard to the HBCU funding. And it was amazing that immediately following that press conference, Chancellor Martin at A&T started receiving calls from the Commissioner of Agriculture and all kinds of folks, and the governor and everybody else, because it requires that we send out the clarion call. We have to speak loudly. And in this pandemic, without the ability to mass gather, one of the ways to advocate is to send out mass technical or email communications. We receive communications from people all over the state, all over the world. All of our email addresses are public information. There absolutely needs to be a concerted effort, not only by legislators, which we absolutely have to do a better job at putting forth these issues ourselves, but as we all proudly, and I don't know how some of you guys forgot to mention your organizations, but as we all proudly proclaimed our affiliations as we were introducing ourselves, that is where we can begin. We can begin with our own organizations. Every member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated who has an email address needs to be sending these concerns to their legislators at the state level and at the federal level. every member of every other fraternity and sorority needs to be doing the same. This is how we get our voices heard under the circumstances. Because all other advocacy groups, as everyone on this panel can agree to, we receive these communications all the time. So the first step is to get on the same page, and the second step is to inundate these individuals with our concerns. Because as a school board member, one of the things when I was a member of the Board of Education that used to really irritate me was when we had issues that were very controversial and we had the opportunity for the public to speak to those issues. When the public did not show, my colleagues on the other side of that issue would look at me and say, well, hey, nobody showed up, so it must not be that important. So we absolutely have to be advocates for these issues. We talk about the funding. There's $50 million appropriated in this COVID-19 package for rural underserved communities. And we talk about those contracts. Well, if you're serving the rural underserved communities, absolutely, there should be vendors in that rural underserved community that could provide some of these services. And it is incumbent upon us as Senator Lowe, I applaud you for your efforts on the previous call, but we need that call with the procurement folks on purchasing contract. And I hope that call is coming because they are the ones who are responsible.
It is coming.
Okay, good. I want to make sure that we are diligent and we're holding their feet to the fire. No, we don't have the majority, but we do have voices. And even when we do become the majority, we are still going to have to fight for those issues that are important to our community. Because even in our own delegation, let's be realistic, there's this tendency to be oblivious to the needs of others. So we're going to have to be very vocal, and we're going to have to be diligent and persistent in our pursuit of making sure that those issues that affect our communities are heard. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got one last question. I think we've got about 10 minutes left, and then I'm gonna do a quick fire. The last question is, what provisions can the state provide by way of supporting renters and residents who may be facing eviction? And I don't know about you, but I've been getting lots of calls on both ends of the spectrum from the renters and from the landlords. And that's a tough situation. Some of you might want to chime in on it. I see some of you all looking around. So
Senator Lowe.
Wydell, can you unmute Senator Wydell, please?
As we speak to this,
yes,
many issues are of concern when it comes to our urban areas like Charlotte, and people are not being able to pay their rents. But as we think about the funds that came down from Washington, those COVID funds need to be put in place for that to help these renters. Many of them have lost their jobs, and then many times they were living in hotels and not able to pay. So the funds that came in federal funds for COVID-19 needs to be provided in some way to help many of these individuals. And they came in different categories under different circumstances. And we as legislators need to move forward when we get this next settlement, this next pocket of money, to make certain that we take care of those who are not able to pay the funds. I think one of the misnomers that we're hearing is that they will never have to pay. But that's not true. As long as they live in places and they have been paying rent, there's some bit of relaxing right now, say for 1 month or 2 months. But as they move forward, rents must be paid because it puts the owners in a very difficult situation. And I've heard from many of them. They have mortgages and they're not able to pay the mortgages. They're not able to pay the bank notes on those properties if the renters don't pay. So that's the situation that we find ourselves in. And that's why we need to appeal for those federal funds to help, just as the federal funds have been used to help in housing and other circumstances, must be used to help there.
Senator Lowe, this is Representative Quick. May I chime in?
Okay, and I've been told we got 5 minutes. So
I'll take 30 seconds to 1 minute.
Okay.
There's a solution to this in that we can provide tax credits to landlords, that they will be able to offset the taxes that they owe in lieu of allowing people to forego their rents. It's something that is being worked out in other areas. It's something that we can do in North Carolina legislatively, and I would offer that as a solution that is really a win-win.
Can I say one thing on that?
Sure.
For some of the small landlords that are on this call and on this panel, we still have to pay mortgages for those rental properties.
But yeah.
And some of us won't be able to wait until tax filing. Those are the real issues that we have to look at. How do you help the small landlord that is renting, that doesn't want to put anybody out, but by the same token, they have a mortgage that has to be paid? Those are things that we're going to have to work on. We're not going to be able to figure it out today, but those are some of the challenges we have going forward. Quick fire, everybody has.
I want to say this. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I certainly, I'm not a landlord, and I certainly sympathize with that. This is there's not one solution. That definitely is a part of a solution that will help, particularly in these areas where people are having that issue right now. So not one size fits all, but I just don't want that to be dismissed out of hand, because that is a solution.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quick fire, 10 seconds. Senator Garland Pierce, what do you want folks to know? Is there anything you want to share?
Thank you. I've enjoyed the conversation. Enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Senator Wydell, 10 seconds. Anything you want to share?
Oh yeah, one of the things I'd like to share is we need to continue to hear from our constituents, and we need to continue to hear from groups that have concerns. Even though we're not in Raleigh at this time, but we still have our offices open, and we are there from time to time. And I've heard a lot from people concerning unemployment benefits, not having received them. And they've asked that our office reach out and advocate in their behalf to make certain that they get their retirement unemployment benefits. So we're doing all that we can in that regard, but it takes all of us working collectively to make certain that the funds that are available meet the needs of those for whom it has been intended.
Thank you. Representative Marvin Lucas, 10 seconds.
Thank you. We are all in this together. Let's be our brother's keepers. If you have assets and you've not been laid off, please consult and help those who have been laid off. If you have resources, share it. If you need resources, don't be afraid to ask.
Representative Raymond Smith, 10 seconds.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, the word of the year has got to be locus, a local focus on all of your efforts. We at the state level are going to absolutely do our part, but we need local efforts. We need to make sure that at the local level that we are engaging our county commissioners, our city council, our school board, making sure that they are following through. We're sending the money, but they're the ones who are going to have to make the decision on how the money is spent at the local level. Hold them accountable. Make sure that you're showing up to the county commissioners meeting, the city council meeting, and the school board meeting, and making sure that they are making decisions that are going to be a positive effect in our community. Thank you.
Senator Smith.
Okay, thank you. I want to thank the organizers for pulling us together. This was a great empowerment conversation. Someone said in the chat earlier, and I fully concur and agree, we came together. It's about 922 participants right now. I think that we should do this quarterly as well so that we can increase our consistency and persistence and make sure that we are working together, pulling in the same direction. This is about being stronger together, and we know with our partners and our stakeholders all joining our efforts, we can fight for parity for our HBCUs. We can fight for affordable housing. We can fight for equal opportunities for our minority-owned businesses. And someone also wanted us to stress about the procurement technical assistance centers who are working with small businesses to make sure that they can get certified to do state contracts. We are North Carolinians too, and we should be getting our share of the pie. We stand ready at every opportunity to assist you. And I say, let's do this again. Let's do it soon, and let's fight together. We are stronger.
Thank you. Representative Reeves, 10 seconds.
Thank you everybody for being on the call, and I would just shortly say this. Not only are we all in this together, but if we don't help each other, if we don't support each other, we're not going to make it. And part of helping each other and supporting each other is getting out here and educating people. So we want to hear from you, but also we need you to talk to members of your community. Every one of these 923 participants is a leader in the community. Talk to your people, educate your people, mobilize, and stop getting out-mobilized right now by a bunch of guys that walk around Raleigh with guns. Thank you.
Representative Candy Smith.
Thank you so much. I think for my 10 seconds, I would say we have to begin to turn anger into action. We spend a lot of time being angry and upset about things that are happening or not happening to our community. In my opinion, we have to turn that anger into action. So one of the questions said, what can we do? We, number one, knowing that we don't have the majority, have to continue to be a voice as your elected officials. We have to continue to make sure that we are stating what's happening and being open about it. But we need you to make sure that you are registering people to vote. We need to make sure you're getting these people to the polls. We need to make sure that we are completing the census like we should to be counted. So if we're not doing those actionable steps in the community, then we do our own selves a disservice. And I am very thankful for being a part of this panelist and having everyone to come join us. Talk to your peers and your friends and make sure they are getting involved because we're all in this together. Thank you.
Senator Murdoch.
Yes, our strength is in our numbers. At one point, we had over 1,000 participants on this webinar, and we need to realize that strength and to actually do something with it. If all of our organizations come together, we are unstoppable. So we have to make sure that we have persistent and continued pressure applied to make sure that these topics will that we can actually make progress on all of these issues, and wanted to end this time by highlighting our elections. Not only do we need to get individuals registered to vote, community organizers are working right now to make sure individuals know how to access their absentee ballot. The theme of this year will be absentee voting. That is something that we do not do well with in the African American community. So we need to be very creative to make sure that we are fully prepared and ready to be very successful in the fall for the upcoming elections.
Thank you. Did I get you, Representative Marvin Lucas? Did I get you?
Yes, sir, you did. But you can
Okay.
get me again.
Representative Amos Quick then. 10 seconds.
Yes, sir. Yeah, 10 seconds. Galatians 6 and 9. Do not be weary in well-doing. This pandemic is going to take us a while to recover from. Even if it ended tomorrow, we still have a long recovery ahead of us. We have to stay, keep on the course and not get weary in this. We're going to make it, and we'll make it together.
I'd like to thank all of the participants. I would like to thank all of those individuals that participate with this Divine Nine, those folks that put this together. Our hats go off to you. We got to keep up. The struggle is still going on. I don't feel no ways tired, and I know you don't either. Let's keep hope alive, keep the fight going, because we will win this fight. God bless you, and may God keep you. Have a marvelous day. Thank you.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters of the Divine Nine and guests. I am